Alright, this is my video review, whatever you want to call it, / observations video on the ZD Racing 1/16 scale RC car. These are imported by MRC and I believe a few others now. They're available on eBay for dirt cheap. I've been seeing these going for less than $50 for the past month or so. This is the brush model, and that's for the brush model, by the way. They do have a brushless version, and it's a bit more, but I'm going to do another video on it. Pretty much, I ordered these with pretty low expectations. It's a brushed version. I'd seen a couple of reviews. RC Car Action and I believe RC Driver both did a review on the brushless version. Really about the only problem I've had out of the model that is mine, which is a bit used, and I didn't really want to show it because it's pretty dirty, and I figured it might show up a little worse. This one's brand new, not even really been ran. But the only problem I've had out of them so far is this terminal broke off on this one. Didn't happen during shipping, and it's not that the solder broke, the terminal actually pulled out of the motor. Frankly, I'm not too worried about it because the motors are cheap and I've actually got a couple spares laying around. The motor's nothing fancy. It's just I believe a PH 380 if I remember right. It actually has the stamping on it when you remove the sticker that they put on it. That would be underneath this heatsink. I've actually already removed it, and I think that might have been when that happened. I'm not entirely positive. These cars aren't all that fancy. Speed control is pretty small. It's a 150 amp, or at least that's the rating. Should be complete and utter overkill for this application. Comes with a standard TAMI connector, nothing too unusual. The battery pack it takes is a 2/3 A cell battery pack. The one it comes with is a 1200 milliamp. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on there. I've actually charged a couple times on my Durtrax Piranha digital battery charger, and they well exceed their rated capacity. This really has a cutoff on it for a lipo as a safety backup for a lipo, which really surprised me, which means you can only discharge this to a resting voltage of 7.2 volts on the battery pack. From 7.2 volts, normally this one charges up to about 1300 milliamp hours, and that's at 1 amp. Takes about an hour and 15 minutes of that rate. I've tried charging at 1.2 amps, and it cuts it down to pretty much an hour, but I think it stresses the battery a bit too much. The charger that comes with it is 1000 milliamp hour milliamp battery charger. Basically charges at 1 amp. There's nothing too fancy on these. Most of the suspension and everything else is pretty tight. The wheels do have some wobble from the factory. I would probably pick up some shims. They're fairly readily available. I mean, you get this little tick to it. This one I haven't added shims to yet, but 4x6 millimeter shims take care of the problem for the most part. Say very little is adjustable on it. It's almost foolproof. The upper control arms have no adjustment. The tie rods are non-adjustable. They're hard, solid plastic. The inner link here is non-adjustable. I do recommend moving the link from the inner hole here to the outer hole. Every one I've seen has had it on the inner hole, and it just makes the steering way too twitchy, and the servo has more than enough throw to handle it on the outer link. Has a pretty good sized front bumper. Seems to take quite a bit of abuse. The chassis is set up for a more defined, I can't even think of what style this is called now, side-by-side pack like that. The strap also has curves in it to be able to mount it a little lower. Normally I just run it on the flat side because this one doesn't actually sink down to the profile well enough to make it worthwhile. Has oil shocks all the way around. Has dog bones all the way around. Probably won't be able to see it. Maybe you'll just get a glimmer of it, but you'll see a little bit of pink there on the inside of the out drive, or in drive. Pretty much I've been taking small pieces of sponge and inserting it into all the drives because the dog bones are at just the right length where there's plenty of play, and running it you hear kind of an odd little rattle. It's a little disconcerting. It's not on the inners because those are plastic, but on the outer, all the outer drives are metal, and it causes a small little click. It's just annoying, and this takes care of it. It helps take out some of the play so it can't rattle around. Probably the best benefit of this to anyone who is looking for a cheap car to run is the radio system. All of them I've gotten in are a 2.4 gigahertz system. It's all 3-channel. I'm assuming it's because they had them and just didn't feel like making a 2-channel radio because they already had a 3-channel. Works pretty good, has really good range, doesn't feel awkward. Some of the controllers I've gotten have felt pretty awkward in the hand. This one actually is pretty comfortable. Probably the best thing about it, though, something that very few people are going to care about, but I do, is the battery compartment, which it's sometimes a pain in the butt to get open. There it goes. And sometimes to close. But instead of the normal 8 batteries, this one only takes 4 AA's. The people out there that use rechargeables like me, if you're using a wall charger, this is wonderful because most of them only hold 4 AA's. This way you don't have to run 2 wall chargers, and there you go. One modification I recommend, the battery basket here, or whatever you want to call it, holder, isn't secured in any way on the inside. I took double-sided tape and double-sided taped it in. I use the thin automotive double-sided tape for trim. Works wonderful, and it also keeps it from rattling around. Main reason that it worried me is because the wiring on this runs straight to the circuit board. It does not have a plug-in like some of the higher-end radios where you can put a rechargeable battery pack in. There's no plug. So if it dangles and breaks the wire, you're going to be doing some soldering. And the 3rd channel switch is up here just for reference. Some of the other mods I did, they give you an antenna tube that's 3 feet long, it seems. It's way overkill. Cut it down to length, and then I bent a 90-degree angle into it after heating it up. It makes putting the body on and off a whole lot easier. I haven't done this to all of them yet, but it is a wonderful thing. Also, I did some trimming on the body. The body on the front went straight across. It didn't have this curve to it. This allows it to clear the front bumper a little bit more so you can mount the body a little lower. Instead of elongating both holes, I just elongated the back ones because they are mounted at an angle. What this mostly did was it helped close this gap up along the chassis, which normally wouldn't concern me too much, but I've heard a lot of people complaining about the open center differential on these, or gearbox, whichever you want to call it. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. A lot of people have said they've gotten rocks and junk in them. So far, out of probably close to 30 hours, I haven't had any problems as of yet. and really dirt accumulation hasn't been a problem on the chassis. I've had a few small stray things of grass end up on top, but that's about it. And I think that about does this one. I'm going to do a running video here soon and post it of this, and I'm going to stop this video and probably start the brushless video talking about it and the changes between the two.